Inspiring Maid answers a call in French in front of a millionaire. Discover what happened next. Maria stood in the grand living room of the Branson estate, surrounded by silk curtains and gleaming chandeliers. She was just a maid, but today felt different, electric, like the air before a storm. Her heart raced as she dusted the intricate mantelpiece, her thoughts drifting to her younger siblings. They depended on her. The weight of their future pressed down on her shoulders, but could her dreams ever take flight? The lavishness around her felt both enchanting and suffocating. The aroma of freshly brewed coffee filtered through the air, but her eyes lingered on the fiery sunset outside, a stark contrast to the polished perfection of the Branson household. Detours, ambitions, and classes seemed a lifetime away from the burdens that pinned her spirit to the ground. She thought of her mother's encouraging smile, her father's gentle words promising that education could be a ladder, one she desperately needed. Suddenly, the phone rang, shattering the silence. Mr. Branson, the household patriarch known for his dazzling business acumen, needed her to take the call. With a dollop of trepidation, she answered. And then it happened without a thought. She spoke fluent French to a business associate on the line. There was a brief silence, then a chorus of gasps from the room. A maid, speaking French? The incredulity was palpable, eyebrows raised, and whispers of curiosity rippling through the household. "Who are you?" Mr. Branson asked, eyes wide with surprise. Maria's heart caught in her throat. It was a fleeting moment, yet it ignited hope within her. Maybe, just maybe, her dreams weren't as distant anymore. But hope is a double-edged sword. As whispers of her fluency spread like wildfire, she felt the clash of two worlds weighing heavily on her. The Bransons treated her as a curiosity, while her neighbors eyed her with skepticism, grappling with their own prejudices. At a community fundraiser, tension crackled like static. Maria took the stage, her palms sweaty but her determination strong. Families crowded in, faces familiar, eyes filled with wonder and doubt. She cleared her throat and spoke from her heart. "I am more than my job," she declared, a profound message resonating in the hearts of everyone present. Murmurs filled the room, equal parts admiration and disbelief. But then Mr. Branson, usually so charismatic, turned cold. He scoffed, igniting a fierce debate about class and opportunity that left Maria reeling. Did she just destroy her chance for approval among the upper crust? In that moment, vulnerability washed over her like a tidal wave, leaving her feeling exposed. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As murmurs erupted around her, Maria sensed that her standing with both the working class and her employers hung by a thread. Backlash loomed on the horizon, but vulnerability gave rise to resilience. Would she retreat into silence, or push back against societal expectations? The crowd held its breath, waiting. In the days that followed, the town hall meeting loomed ahead, a gathering that felt more like a battleground. Standing in front of that many eyes would be daunting. They were watching her, waiting for the next move. Could she find strength in their scrutiny and transform disdain into a catalyst for change? As Maria stepped closer to the podium, resolve surged through her. The air buzzed thick with anticipation. She was ready to fight for justice in a world that far too often silenced the unheard. What she would say next might change everything. Maria stood at the podium, the spotlight illuminating her trembling figure. The murmurs of the audience felt like the ocean, waves crashing against the shore of her resolve. She took a deep breath, drawing strength from the memory of her family's sacrifices. They were counting on her to be a voice for the voiceless, and that thought steadied her. She could feel Mr. Branson's piercing gaze as he sat back, arms crossed, a hint of disdain flitting across his otherwise composed face. This wasn't just a speech, it was a battle. The energy in the room shifted, and she could sense the weight of every expectation pressing down on her. She glanced down at her notes, words of courage and truth, but all at once, those words felt too small for the moment. Today, I want to talk about the walls we build, she began, her voice wavering but gaining strength with each passing word. Not just the walls of our homes, but those we erect in our hearts and minds. I see people every day, defined by their jobs and their titles, not by their potential. The crowd was silent, their attention caught. She could feel their eyes widening, the shift in the atmosphere as hope began to curl its fingers around her heart. She moved forward with her story, sharing her dreams, her family's dreams, the sacrifices that had paved her path. With each sentence, she painted a vivid picture of the struggle for respect and dignity that her community faced. The faces in the crowd transformed from skepticism to a tentative understanding. I refuse to be just a maid in the shadows, she continued, her voice rising with passion. I am a sister, a daughter, and one day, I will be a leader in my community. I stand here to remind you that worth isn't measured by money or status but by the strength of our spirit. A ripple of shock mingled with applause started to grow, but then she heard Mr. Branson's laughter, a sharp, mocking sound that sliced through the moment like a knife. And what do you think you're doing, Maria? This isn't a fairy tale, he sneered, his voice dripping with condescension. She felt the air drop. 100 thoughts rushed through her mind, and for a fleeting second, self-doubt crept in. What was she thinking? Who was she to challenge someone like him? But as she looked into the eyes of people she cared about, her neighbors, her friends, she found the courage to respond. Maybe it's time for a little magic then. She shot back, the fire in her chest reigniting. A world where we all have access to opportunities, where our titles don't define us. We can't just sit back and let the privileged pull the strings. The audience erupted in applause, clapping and some even getting to their feet in support. The emotions fueled her words, igniting a fervor among her community. They were united, ready to stand together, but that fierce resolve sparked a deeper dilemma within her. Could she stir the waters and still navigate the treacherous tides of class disparity? Could one speech change the narrative? As she stepped down from the podium, a wave of emotions washed over her: exhilaration, fear, uncertainty. She had taken a stand, but the fallout was just beginning. Maria looked around, the faces in the crowd now lit with a mix of admiration and worry. Would they now rally behind her? Or would Mr. Branson's influence silence her? The answer loomed like a storm on the horizon, and she knew she had to be ready. The journey had only just started, and challenges were lurking around every corner. As she breathed deeply, preparing for what lay ahead, a new thought flashed across her mind. What if she could turn this moment into a movement? She clenched her fists. There was no turning back now. The next fight awaited her, and she could almost hear the echo of a rising tide behind her. What would happen when she pressed forward, uncertain yet unyielding, against the forces that wanted her to remain invisible? The applause faded into a low murmur as Maria stepped off the podium, her heart still pounding in her chest. She could feel the warmth of the crowd's support but also the looming presence of Mr. Branson's disdain. He might have laughed at her words, but she noticed a few others in the audience, their expressions showing a flicker of respect. That small victory felt huge. Her best friend, Elena, rushed to her side, eyes glimmering with excitement. You were incredible. Did you see their faces? You made them listen. Maria smiled, her nerves still simmering beneath her skin. I just hope they actually heard me, she replied, glancing back at the crowd. People were still talking, whispering, many of them looking at her with renewed hope. The energy was palpable, electric. Could they really be ignited into action? As she navigated through the crowd, she caught snippets of conversations: community, equality, change. It was like a seed of revolution was being planted. She felt slightly dizzy, a mix of pride and fear. What if she was asking for too much? What if they were just fleeting thoughts, evaporating like morning mist? Maria. A voice broke through her thoughts. It was Mr. Branson, striding towards her with a purposeful expression. The crowd parted like the Red Sea, tension thickening in the air. She could see the condescending smirk forming at the corner of his lips. "Bold words for someone like you," he started, his tone mocking. "You really believe you can sway these people? How naive." Her stomach knotted, but she stood tall, trying to gather every ounce of courage she had. "It's not about me, Mr. Branson. It's about all of us. We all deserve a voice, a chance." He scoffed. "You think they actually want to follow you? You're just a maid, a statistic. People look for power, and you have none." The word stung, resonating in the deep corners of her mind where self-doubt lurked. She took a step closer, holding her ground. "Then tell me, what's the cost of being a voice for those who feel powerless? What's the price of change?" His expression faltered for a moment, as if he hadn't expected her defiance. But quickly, he regained composure. "You'll find out, Maria. Trust me. Not everyone wants to break down walls. Some are perfectly happy living in their little cages." With that, he turned away, leaving Maria feeling a whirlwind of conflicting emotions. She wanted to scream, to shout that she would not be just a shadow. But instead, she inhaled deeply, letting the air fill her lungs and steady her resolve. Elena returned, squeezing her hand excitedly. "Ignore him. You're doing this." Before Maria could respond, the crowd began to disperse, discussions sparking about organizing community meetings, rallies, and support groups. She felt a flutter of hope. This wasn't just a speech, it was the beginning of something bigger, yet there was also a weight to her heart. Doubt was a sly beast, gnawing at her confidence. Could she lead them? Would they truly follow? As she made her way out of the venue, surrounded by friends and family, an infectious determination filled the air. Maria glanced back one last time, the spotlight now dimmed but not extinguished. The battle was far from over, it had merely shifted to a different battlefield. "Hey, Maria!" A voice called out, breaking her thoughts. It was one of the older women from the community, her face glowing with inspiration. "Can we meet tomorrow? We need to talk about next steps." A smile broke across Maria's face. Hope rekindled within her, like a flame flickering to life, warming her spirit once more. "Absolutely. I'll be there." As she left the venue, a glimmer of excitement danced in her chest. She was no longer just a maid, she was a spark of change. But even as she felt the thrill of what lay ahead, a nagging question lingered: what would it take to turn that spark into a roaring fire? The answer awaited her, hidden among the shadows of uncertainty. Maria woke up early the next morning, the sun barely peeking over the horizon. A soft light poured through her window, illuminating her room that felt both comforting and confining. She knew today was the day that could change everything. The possibility of inspiring her community filled her with a tangible buzz of energy. Elena, always an early riser, was already at her door. "Are you ready for this?" she asked, her enthusiasm unwavering. Maria nodded, though her heart raced at the thought of what lay ahead. "I think so. I mean, what if they don't take me seriously?" "They will," Elena replied confidently. "You spoke from the heart, and that matters. They need someone like you to guide them." As they left the house, Maria felt a mix of dread and hope. Every step to the meeting felt heavier. She could picture Mr. Branson's mocking face and his words echoed in her mind. But she had made a choice. Instead of letting fear drown her, she decided to let it fuel her. When they arrived at the community center, the air was thick with nervous excitement. A small crowd was gathering, some familiar faces, others completely new. Maria took a deep breath, stepping forward to greet them. "Thank you all for coming," she started, her voice wavering slightly but gaining strength with each word. "Yesterday was just the beginning. We have so much to discuss. The crowd responded with nods and murmurs of agreement. Encouraged, she continued, I want to hear your stories. Every one of you has a voice, and we need to share our experiences. Only then can we start to build change. An older woman with silver hair raised her hand. Maria, what about Mr. Branson's response? It still stings. How do we stand against people like him? The question hung in the air like a weight. Maria felt it deep within her. You fight with unity. We are stronger together. Let us not let fear dictate our actions. They began to share their experiences, voices overlapping in a patchwork of stories. It was exhilarating, like a river bursting forth after a long drought. Maria felt herself melting into their narratives, their fears and hopes becoming intertwined with her own. Hours moved quickly as ideas flowed. Organizing community events, petitions, and plans for outreach sprouted among them like spring flowers. There was laughter and tears, to a shared humanity that united them in the face of adversity. Maria's earlier doubt seemed to evaporate. Just as the meeting was coming to a close, Maria noticed a figure lurking at the back of the room. It was Mr. Branson. His presence sent a chill through her, but instead of recoiling, Maria felt a flicker of that earlier courage. Why are you here? She called out, almost too boldly, her heart thumping in her chest. It seems I've underestimated you, he replied, smirking. This gathering is impressive, I'll admit. But you really believe you can make a difference? Maria looked around at the faces filled with determination. Yes, and so do they. You underestimate the power of community. You think we're just individuals. But together, we are a force, one that you can't ignore. The crowd reacted. Whispers of agreement surged through them, emboldening Maria. She could feel the energy shifting, the realization dawning. They were no longer alone. They were rising, Branson scoffed, but as he turned to leave, Maria caught a glimpse of uncertainty in his eyes. A thrill coursed through her, knowing that their movement was taking root, and it was more powerful than he could fathom. As the meeting concluded and Maria thanked everyone, the energy in the room felt electric. She felt lighter, holding a bike gear to propel forward. But deep inside, another question lingered. What would it take to ensure that this fire didn't fizzle out? The answer felt daunting, lurking in the shadows of the path ahead. And the next steps would be critical. Tomorrow would bring further challenges, but Maria knew they would face them together. Let us reconvene next week, she suggested, a plan forming in her mind. We need to keep this momentum going. As the crowd dispersed, Maria and Elena exchanged hopeful glances. The world felt different, brighter somehow, but the battle was still ahead. If only she knew what surprising twist awaited her in the journey toward change. Would they be ready for it when it came? The week passed with a whirlwind of activity. Maria felt the exhilaration of their meeting pulse through her veins. Each day, she organized and strategized with her newfound allies. They met at the community center, drafting plans and sharing ideas, their laughter mingling with discussions about events. The weight of that initial fear began to lift, replaced by a growing sense of purpose, but as Maria returned home each evening, a single thought gnawed at her. She could sense Mr. Branson lurking in the back of her mind like a shadow. The encounter had ignited a fire within her, yet his condescension still stung. She wondered how many in the community shared her fears of him and his influence. It was time they faced it together, even if she didn't yet know how. On a bright Saturday morning, the group gathered for their first community event, a cleanup initiative in a nearby park. Maria arrived early, the sun warming her skin, and felt her chest swell with excitement. People began trickling in, each carrying trash bags and tools. She greeted them with smiles, and they exchanged encouraging words. Maria, let us take before and after photos, Elena suggested as they began picking up litter. Maria snapped a few shots, capturing the teamwork, before addressing the group. Thank you all for being here. This is just the start. We're not just cleaning up the park, we're showing that we care about our community. As the day's work progressed, laughter rang out and children darted around. It was a lovely scene, yet Maria couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. In the distance, she spotted a familiar figure, Mr. Branson, standing by his sleek black car, arms crossed. He seemed out of place, a storm cloud hanging over their sunny day. "Hey, is that Branson?" someone whispered. "Just ignore him," another murmured. But Maria couldn't. She straightened her spine and felt the buzz of determination surge again. She marched over, her heart racing but fueled by the sense of community behind her. "What do you want?" she asked, trying to keep her voice steady. Branson smirked, leaning against his car. "Just observing the chaos." "You think this makes a difference?" A knot of anger twisted in her stomach. "We're making a difference, and you know it. This community is coming together. It's not chaos, it's change." He raised an eyebrow. "Change? Cleaning a park? That's cute. But you want to stop the bigger problems. You need more than good intentions." Maria inhaled deeply, her hands clenching into fists. She turned to the group huddled a few feet away, their eyes glancing toward her. Fear mingled with confidence in her heart. "What is he talking about? We can do this. Together." "Yes," Elena shouted, emboldening her. "We've got each other." Branson chuckled, but it held a bitter edge. "I'll be watching. Things don't just change overnight, you know." Maria met his gaze head-on. "I don't expect it to happen overnight. But change starts with community, and we'll keep pushing forward. Don't underestimate us." With a sneer, he turned away, but not without glancing back, a fleeting look of concern flickering across his face. Maria turned back to her group, shaking off the encounter. "Let us keep going," she called, her voice ringing with confidence. And they did. They laughed, sung songs, and worked until the park was transformed. As they wrapped up, Maria felt a spark of hope. Just then, her phone buzzed. It was a message from one of the community members. "Hey, I heard Branson is planning a community meeting next week. He's going to announce something big." Her stomach dropped. What could he be planning? Would it take the wind out of their sails? Urgency pulsed through her. They needed to prepare. And perhaps, they needed to confront him on a larger stage. Maria gathered the group. "We've got to keep this momentum going. Let us meet tomorrow to discuss how we respond to whatever Branson has planned." As they nodded in agreement, a mixture of excitement and anxiety filled the air. Maria felt the weight settle, even as her heart raced ahead of her. Little did she know, the next meeting would change everything they thought they knew about the fight for their community. Could they claim their space without backtracking? The deeper questions awaited them on the horizon. The sun rose the next day with a sense of urgency humming in the air. Maria stood by her window, watching the sky shift from soft pinks to vibrant oranges. Today would be pivotal. They needed to channel their determination into a strategy, something that would put Mr. Branson on notice. At the community center, the room buzzed with energy. People settled in, sharing notes and bouncing ideas off one another. Maria felt a flutter in her chest as she stepped onto a makeshift stage at the front, the bright lights casting her shadow against the wall. "Thank you all for coming together so quickly," she began, her voice gaining strength as she spoke. "I know we're all anxious about what Branson has planned, but we've got to transform that anxiety into action. This is our chance to show that we stand united." A ripple of enthusiasm spread through the room. A young man in the back shouted, "Just tell us what to do, Maria." She smiled gratefully. "All right. I want each of us to prepare a few ideas on how we can voice our concerns during the meeting. Let us think about the issues affecting our community, and how we can propose real solutions." The group quickly organized into small teams, brainstorming and jotting down ideas. Laughter echoed alongside serious discussions, the kind of balanced harmony that made Maria's heart swell. Amidst the noise, she spotted Elena working fervently at a corner table, her brow furrowed in concentration. "What do you think, Elena?" Maria asked as she joined her. "I think we need a bold statement," Elena replied, her eyes glistening with determination. "Rather than just responding to Branson, we should present him with a united front, something that shows how much we care about our community." "That's brilliant." Maria beamed. "We can prepare a community manifesto. A document outlining our hopes and solutions. Something he can't ignore." As ideas flowed and hands moved rapidly, time slipped away. The atmosphere was electric, optimism buzzed in the air, and for the first time, Maria felt confidence blooming within her. They were ready to take a stand. But as they finalized their plans, the weight of the impending confrontation loomed over her. What would Branson's reaction be? Would they get the chance to speak, or would he try to dismiss them? Later, as the day moved toward evening, Maria found herself restless. "We need to make sure we get a chance to present this," she murmured to herself. A thought occurred to her: what if they made their presence known even before the meeting? Devising a way to show Branson they meant business could rattle him. Suddenly, inspiration struck. She gathered the group again. How about a little protest outside the community meeting? A way to grab attention and put him on the spot? The room erupted with whispers of agreement, faces lighting up with excitement. "Yes," they chorused. "Let us rally before he even starts." Fueled by passion and a shared dream, they began planning signs, chants, and strategies to make sure their voices were heard loud and clear. Maria's heart raced at the thought of being outside the meeting, standing together with her community. She felt invincible, the burdens from before slipping away. As the clock ticked away, an unsettling thought crept into her mind: what if Branson didn't just dismiss them? What if he retaliated? Still, surrounded by her joyful allies, Maria chose to focus on their strength, their unity. "No matter what happens, remember this day," she said, rallying them for what was to come. "Change isn't just a fight. It's a journey. Together, we'll make it happen." With cheers echoing in her mind, Maria left the community center, excitement coursing through her. But beneath that excitement lay a flicker of fear. Their fight was just beginning. As they marched toward the meeting, the question lingered: would their courage be enough to face Mr. Branson and his plans head-on? Or would they stumble in the face of his power? The sun dipped low in the sky, painting everything with a golden hue, as Maria and her team gathered outside the town hall. The air felt charged, thick with anticipation and a hint of anxiety. People began to trickle in, each one clutching a handmade sign, their faces set with determination. "Look at everyone," Elena said, her voice bubbling with excitement. "We're really doing this." Maria nodded, swallowing hard. She took a deep breath, feeling the weight of their mission settle on her shoulders. This wasn't just about protesting. It was about standing up for their home, their families, and their future. As they arranged themselves along the steps, the sound of their chant started to grow. "Community first. Branson, hear us," echoed off the brick walls of the town hall, resounding with a spirit that was hard to ignore. Maria glanced around and saw fire in her neighbor's eyes, a burning resolve that filled her with hope. At that moment, all the doubts she had been harboring began to fade. She felt small but mighty, an essential piece of a larger puzzle fighting for change. The mingling voices of her community blended into a beautiful cacophony, courageous hearts joining in solidarity. Suddenly, the doors of the town hall swung open, and Mr. Branson appeared, flanked by several members of his staff. The chatter of the crowd fell into a hush as he stepped forward, his expression blank yet calculating. "Seriously? A protest?" he scoffed, surveying the signs that read "Voice of the People" and "Listen to Our Needs." His laughter was cold, sending a shiver through the crowd. "This is the kind of childish behavior that will get you nowhere." Maria's heart sank at his condescension. He stood there, a millionaire with power they could only dream of. But she couldn't let him intimidate them. Swallowing her fear, she stepped forward, the crowd parting to allow her a moment in the spotlight. "Mr. Branson, this isn't about childish behavior. This is about our lives, our community." Her voice trembled only slightly, but the words flowed with power. "We deserve to be heard, not dismissed. We have ideas and needs that matter." Elena stood right beside her, fists clenched. "We're not going away until you acknowledge our manifesto. We have solutions, not just complaints." Branson raised an eyebrow, intrigued despite himself. Maria felt a rush of adrenaline. Was he actually listening? He leaned closer, cocking his head as if trying to understand the passion behind their words. The moment felt electric, a shift in the air as the crowd began to murmur support, their voices growing louder, but even as hope bloomed within her, Maria could see Branson's eyes calculating, weighing his response. This wasn't over yet. "Very well," he finally said, a sly smile creeping onto his face. "I'll give you a few moments during the meeting to present your ideas, but do not expect me to bend to your demands." A mix of relief and trepidation washed over Maria. They would finally have a platform, but at what cost? Before she could think further, Branson strode back into the building, leaving a speck of doubt in his wake. The crowd erupted into cheers, but Maria's heart was still racing with the uncertainty of what lay ahead. Had they bitten off more than they could chew? Would Branson take the meeting seriously, or was this all just a show? As they prepared to enter the town hall, a question lingered in Maria's mind: could they truly make him understand their struggles? Or would this moment of courage lead to another disappointment? The group shuffled inside the town hall, the atmosphere heavy with a mix of hope and tension. Maria felt her heart racing, each beat echoing in her ears. They had gotten this far, yet a gnawing fear of failure kept creeping back in. She had always envisioned the moment when they would speak their truths to Branson as empowering, but now, it felt like standing on a precipice. They filed into the dimly lit meeting room, taking seats around a long, polished table. The staff took their places as well, their expressions a mix of skepticism and mild amusement. Branson sat at the head, leaning back as if this were just another routine meeting and not one that had the potential to change lives. "All right," Branson said, his tone dripping with condescension. "You have 5 minutes. Impress me." Maria exchanged glances with Elena, both of them silently bolstering each other's courage. This was it. She could almost hear the chants of their supporters lingering in the air. Elena stood first, her hands trembling yet steady. "We need more community resources. After-school programs for our kids, support for small businesses, those are things that will help us thrive." Her voice grew stronger with each point she made, a fire igniting in her chest. Maria leaned in, her palms flat on the table as she focused on Branson's unyielding stare. "Our town feels marginalized," she began, pouring her heart into every word. "For years, decisions have been made without our input. Our voices have been hushed. We're not just asking for a voice, we're demanding respect. We know our community better than anyone else." Branson moved slightly, the slightest shift of curiosity crossing his features. It flickered like a ghost, gone as quickly as it appeared. "Feeding ideas without a business model isn't productive," he replied, rubbing his temples as if fatigued by their enthusiasm. Maria took a breath, attempting to harness her frustration and channel it into something more constructive. "We've drawn up a proposal, detailed plans showing how these community resources can be funded sustainably. We're not just throwing concepts at you, we're stepping forward with tangible solutions that will benefit everyone." Branson turned to his staff, giving a slight nod. "Fine," he said, annoyance evident in his tone. "Let us see your proposal. But let me be clear, a report from you won't change my priorities." The room fell silent as Maria and Elena exchanged a look of determination. This wasn't just about their proposal anymore. It was about resilience, hope, and exposing Branson to the strength of their unity. Yet even as they talked, Maria sensed a growing unease. Was his interest genuine, or was he merely toying with them? Would he dismiss their hard work once back in his ivory tower? After their time was up, Branson leaned back in his chair, arms crossing over his chest. "I'll review what you've given me, but don't hold your breath," he said, dismissing them with a wave as he gathered his papers. The team filed out of the room, hearts still thumping but now noted with uncertainty. They had risked so much, putting their hopes on the line, only to face another wall. Outside, the warm glow of the fading sun failed to pierce the shadows of doubt that hung over Maria. She turned to Elena, her voice barely above a whisper. "What if he doesn't take it seriously?" But before Elena could reply, a familiar face emerged from the crowd gathered outside. Mrs. Thompson, a retired teacher and beloved community member, stepped forward. "Maria, did you see how he reacted?" He was listening. Hope flickered within her again, and the crowd's energy surged around them. But then came the sound of approaching footsteps, breaking their moment. A whispered rumor rippled through the gathered crowd. There were whispers of an unexpected ally lurking nearby, a business partner of Branson who had once fought for the people. What if they had a chance to turn the tide? Maria looked back into the hall, her heart racing at the thought of confronting a deeper truth. What would this ally reveal? Would it lead them closer to decisive action? Maria's pulse quickened again. She exchanged an anxious glance with Elena. Was this ally truly a glimmer of hope, or just another dead end? The anticipation in the air was almost tangible, a mix of excitement and dread swirling around them. "Who are they?" Elena asked, scanning the crowd as a quiet murmur grew louder, buzzing like a beehive. Mrs. Thompson stepped closer, her kind eyes alight with urgency. "His name is Simon," she said, lowering her voice. "He used to work closely with Branson years ago." They started together before Simon realized that Branson's ideas didn't include the people. "If anyone can sway him, it's Simon. Can we get him to help us?" Maria felt a spark of defiance. What if this Simon was the key to unlocking Branson's stronghold? A voice asked for unity, and she felt it resonate within her. Mrs. Thompson nodded. "Let us find him. He's often at the cafe across the street. It's where he goes to think." With determination surging back into her, Maria led the way. The crowd parted like water, supportive murmurs trailing behind them. She couldn't shake the looming uncertainty, but it felt different now, like the weight of the world had shifted, if only slightly, in their favor. As they reached the cafe, Maria's nerves began to bubble over again. She peered through the large window and spotted a man with tousled hair, engrossed in a conversation with a couple. Simon looked animated, hands waving excitedly as he articulated a point. Something about his energy felt refreshing. "He seems approachable," Elena remarked, biting her lip nervously. "Let us hope he is just as passionate about our cause," Maria replied, taking a deep breath. Together, they entered the cafe, the aroma of fresh coffee swirling around them, enveloping them like a comforting embrace. As they approached Simon's table, he looked up, and their eyes locked. He wore an expression of curiosity, quickly giving way to recognition as Mrs. Thompson smiled at him. "Simon. It's so good to see you." "Mrs. Thompson. What brings you here?" His voice was warm, inviting. Maria felt a stirring of hope. "We need your help," she said, her tone urgent. "It's about Branson and the proposals for the community." Simon leaned back, considering their words. "Branson? That's a heavy name to conjure." He seemed to ponder for a moment, then gestured for them to sit. "Tell me everything." With hearts racing, Maria, Elena, and Mrs. Thompson shared their struggles. They spoke passionately about their town, the neglected voices, and the potential they saw for a brighter future. Each word poured out, filled with raw emotion and hope. Simon listened intently, nodding along. "I left that world for a reason," he finally said. Branson values profit over people. But, if you have a solid plan, I might be able to make a connection. I know the leverage he responds to. The hope in Maria's chest blossomed. You can help us get Branson to take our proposal seriously? Yes, Simon said, leaning in. But you must be prepared for pushback. Branson won't give in easily. This will be a battle of wits. Are you ready for that? Maria exchanged glances with Elena. Could they truly be ready? Was there bravery enough? Just then, the cafe door swung open, and in walked Branson himself, his presence immediately darkening the atmosphere. Eyes turned toward him, and the chatter faded to a hush. What is he doing here? Elena whispered, her voice tinged with panic. Maria's mind raced. This could be their chance. She felt that sense of urgency rise again, pushing her forward. What would she say? How would she seize this moment? Simon, she said nervously, what do we do? The answer hung in the air, pulsing with the weight of possibility. Would they stand their ground? Or would fear push them back into silence once more? The stakes had never felt higher. As Mr. Branson moved through the cafe, his aura commanded the attention of everyone around. Maria felt her heart hammering against her ribs like a drum. She was acutely aware of the weight of the moment. The chance to confront him was too rare to waste. Stay calm, she whispered to Elena and Mrs. Thompson. We've come this far. No backing down now. Drawing a deep breath, Maria stood tall, her senses alive to the palpable energy surrounding them. She moved toward Branson, each step echoing the resolve that had been building within her ever since she had first taken the stage at the town hall. He was already speaking with another patron, chuckling as if he owned the world, when she reached him. Mr. Branson. Maria called out, her voice steady, surprising even herself. He turned, the cheery grin on his face faltering slightly as he narrowed his eyes in recognition. We need to talk. About what? Your little protest. He sneered, the confidence melting into dismissive arrogance. No, she said, fire in her eyes. About the future of our community. You're not just a businessman, you're part of our lives. Whether you choose to acknowledge it or not. The surrounding cafe customers had stopped to listen, the air thick with anticipation. Simon watched with keen interest, nodding as he recognized the fervor behind her words. Branson chuckled, but this time there was a flicker of unease. I've heard this before, Maria. You can't demand change without understanding the whole picture. You think emotion can sway a business decision? It's not just emotion. Maria shot back, her voice rising with passion. It's reality. We're tired of being sidelined. We have a plan, a proposal for our community that will spark growth. You didn't create this town alone. We are the lifeblood. Branson's eyebrows lifted slightly, intrigued despite himself. You really believe a manifesto of wishful thinking will change anything? We're ready to back our words with action, Maria declared, pointing toward Simon. This man knows you inside and out. He can help bridge the gap between your world and ours. But only if you're willing to listen. Mrs. Thompson chimed in, you're not just dealing with individuals, Branson. You're facing a united front. Our community is coming together in ways you never expected. A silence hung over the cafe, the tension crackling in the air. The patrons began to murmur among themselves, some nodding in agreement. It was a small but powerful ripple of support. Branson glanced around, his bravado slightly rattled, as murmurs of solidarity filled the space. This is absurd, he scoffed, though the veneer of confidence was slipping. If you truly believe in this town, give us the chance to present our proposal, Maria urged. Meet with us and hear our solutions. Not just for the sake of checking a box, but because your legacy doesn't just rest on profits. It rests on the people. Branson appeared to hesitate, eyes shifting as he weighed his options against the brewing fervor around him. Maria caught glimpses of the townsfolk's faces, each person eagerly waiting for a breakthrough moment, a tipping point where their voices would be recognized. Then, Simon stepped forward, leaning in slightly. "You don't want to be known as the man who crushed the spirit of this town, do you? You could help shape it for the better." "Fine," Branson finally relented, though he wore a smirk that suggested he perceived the proposals as futile. "I'll review and discuss your ideas. But don't mistake this for my approval. Don't expect anything more than that." Relief surged through Maria like a cool breeze after a suffocating heat. "Thank you, Mr. Branson," she said, her heart racing. "We'll show you our commitment." As he walked away, the patrons began to clap, small bursts of applause swelling into a wave of support. Maria turned to Simon, her eyes brimming with gratitude. "You've given us a chance." He smiled. "You did this. Your courage sparked the change." Amidst the warm buzz of encouragement filling the cafe, Maria felt a transformation deep within her, a realization that this fight was not just about her. It was about everyone who called this town home. Hope flickered and burned brighter than before, igniting a sense of purpose that would carry her forward. Days turned into weeks as the community rallied together, preparing for their meeting with Branson. Each gathering was infused with determination, as ideas grew sharper, proposals fine-tuned, and spirits bound in unity. Students, elders, workers, everyone found their voice in the shared mission to elevate each other. When the day finally arrived, the atmosphere was electric with anticipation. Maria took a deep breath as she stood at the podium once again, flanked by friends and allies. She looked out into the crowd of familiar faces, each brimming with hope and determination. "Today isn't just about us presenting ideas. It's about changing the narrative for our community. It's our moment to shine," she began, her voice steady and filled with conviction. The room erupted into cheers, and it felt like the storm had broken, washing away the barriers that had long held them back. But this time, Maria was not just a maid. She was a catalyst sparking a movement that would elevate all voices, turning dreams into reality. And as she spoke of unity, progress, and heart, she felt the weight of a new beginning settle on her shoulders, reminding her that together, they could shape a future no one had thought possible. The battle was just beginning, and every victory, big or small, was worth holding out for. And to everyone watching this journey unfold, one thing was clear: you need to subscribe now if you want to witness the amazing transformations coming next. Don't forget to leave a like so the algorithm can spread this message further. Comment below with your thoughts and how you would fight for change. And share this video with at least 5 friends who need to feel inspired by the power of community. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Real change starts with you.